Okay, Algebra 1, 12-3, Statistics and Parameters. All right, so we're going to just be looking at our information just a little bit different. We analyzed survey results in the section previous to this, and so now we're going to look at a couple of different things. We might look at, let's just take a set of data real quick. With this information, we've got 2, 2, 3, 4, and 14. I've already put them in order from least to greatest, just in case we needed to do anything with it. But a couple of things we're going to find. Just real quick, we're going to find the range, and the range is going to be found by taking the maximum and subtracting the minimum. So we're looking at 14 minus 2. Oop, not times 2, minus 2. And so our range is 12. Pretty simple. Again, just maximum and subtract the minimum. Next, we're going to find the actual mean. And again, this isn't new to us. Okay, so we're going to add them all up together. 2 and 2 is 4, and 3 is 7. 7 and 4 is 11. And 11 and 14 is 25. And so because we have 5 pieces of information, we're going to divide that by 5. And so our mean is 5. And now we're going to find something that's new to us. What we're going to work on next is we're going to actually find the mean absolute deviation. And we're going to find that to the nearest tenth. So what we need to do is we need to find the sum of the absolute values of the differences between each value and the mean. Okay, so the sum of the absolute values of each value and the difference of the mean. So the absolute value of 2 minus 5 plus the absolute value of 2 minus 5 plus the absolute value of 3 minus 5. You can kind of see where we're going here. Plus the absolute value of 4 minus 5. 4 minus 5. And finally, the absolute value of 14 minus 5. So that's going to give us the absolute value of negative 3, which is 3. The absolute value of negative 3, which is again 3. Absolute value of negative 2, which is 2. Absolute value of negative 1, which is 1. And the absolute value of 9, which is 9. And total those up, we're going to get 18. Now, to find our mean absolute deviation, we're going to take that value and we're going to divide it by, we're going to divide it by however many numbers we have. So in this case, we have 5. So when we take 18 divided by 5, we are going to get 3.6. I shouldn't put absolute value, or excuse me, I shouldn't put approximately. Let's just take care of that. Okay. So this is example number 2 on the bottom of page 757. That is how we find the mean absolute deviation. Okay. So next we're going to look at a couple of new terms to us again. We're going to look at standard deviation and variance. So first of all, we'll do standard deviation. Okay, and so we're going to use the same numbers. We're going to work off the same problem. So we are at 2, 2, 3, 4, and 14. Oops, this part of the board's getting a little crazy over there. 2, 2, 3, 4, and 14. And so in this case, the standard deviation is a value that shows how much the data deviates from the mean. Because obviously you have the mean, you have an average of things, but not everything in the list meets that average. So some of it is bumped over just a little bit. And so that's what our standard deviation is. And so we're going to find in this information, we're going to find our mean, we're going to find our variance, and we're going to find our standard deviation. Now, obviously back before, I don't want that. Obviously back before we had already found our mean, and our mean is 5. So we're going to start with our mean. And now we're going to find our excuse me, our variance first. So what we're going to do is we're going to square the difference between each number and the mean. And then we're going to add those together and divide by 5. So again, square the difference between each number and the mean. So we're going to do 2 minus 5 squared. Okay, 2 minus 5 squared. And then we're going to add to that 2 minus 5 squared. My board's getting a little wild over here. Sorry, that should be a plus. Then we're going to add to that 3 minus 5 squared. And then 4 minus 5 squared. And finally, 14 minus 5. I am not liking my connectivity here. I'm going to have to check that a little bit before the next one. That's kind of ugly. Okay, so negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 2 squared is 4. Excuse me. Negative 1 squared is 1. And 9 squared is 81. Okay, so that comes out to be 104. And then we're going to divide it by the number 5 because we have 5 pieces of information. Okay, and that comes out to 104 over 5 equals 20 and 8/10. Now here's one of those great moments, one of those great teaching moments where we're talking about standard deviation and variance. And what I actually just found was the variance, not the standard deviation. So now that we have our nice little eraser tool, we're going to go back here. Okay, and we're going to change that to variance, V-A-R-I-A-N-C-E. This is why we always keep an open mind. So our variance is, we're going to leave it as 104 divided by 5, and there's a reason for that here in just a second. But we're actually going to find the standard deviation at this time. And so the standard deviation is just the square root of the variance. So we're going to take 104 divided by 5, and we're going to get an approximate square root on that. So let me get this real quick. 104 divided by 5 is 20.5. And when I take the square root of 20.5, I get approximately 4.5. Okay, so my variance of 104 divided by 5, and my standard deviation of approximately 4.5. So those are 3 new things for us: variance, standard deviation, and then we have the mean absolute deviation that I did at the beginning. So that should get us taken care of for Chapter 12, Section 3, Statistics and Parameters.